Hi, I'm Mich Atagana and welcome to Memeburn on the Road. Today we're going to be talking to Umuntu Media, a content distributor that hopes to take the African continent by storm. The platform distributes hyperlocal content to communities across the continent. Let's meet the team. Hi Johan, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks a lot.
Cool.
Awesome having me.
So I see you guys built us a little Mimiboard here. Very nice. We should redesign our site to look like that, by the way. I think it looks super cool. So you and I have been talking the last week about just how much you guys have grown and the different changes you've had to make. I mean, how do you get started with something like this to try and build kind of a newspaper/digital news platform for the whole of Africa?
Sure. Yeah, it's Umuntu Media. We've been running for 2.5 years at the moment, and right in the beginning we set out to do one thing, and that's solve the content gap in Africa. Now, that's a huge ask, and no one actually knows how to do it, but we took a stab at it. And then the beginning stages, what we did is we thought, let's create typical portal websites across Africa. So it's a traditional media model. We employ local journalists on the ground, send them out with video cameras and write stories and take footage, put all of that online, and let's start marketing those URLs and build a media company. We launched that in 9 African countries. Did very well from the start. Became the big local website in most of those countries. But the challenge that we found with that is how do we actually get better content? How do we get content faster? And I think in the publishing model, every single publisher in the world sits with that question today: is how can we be faster at generating news? How can we be more local and more relevant? And that's when we decided, hey, let's build technology to solve that gap for ourselves, and that's where Mimiboard started.
I'm really interested in commerce, particularly e-commerce. And commerce for me is not just about the selling and buying of goods, but it's also about the transfer of ideas. So commerce, you and I speaking is a form of commerce as well. So the way that I look at what Umuntu Media is doing with Mimiboard, it helps facilitate commerce and it helps facilitating local content and hyper-local content. As you know, this is a continent full of stories, many stories. These stories are told on many different platforms, and they also can be told in a digital platform. This is a company that provides a platform that allows that, so it's quite interesting and sexy to me.
One thing that we realized is that conversations already happen around the world, so everyone is sharing news. Everyone is already a publisher. You text your best friend news what's happening. You upload a Facebook image about news in your environment. And all that we wanted to do is tap into that. So you tap into existing conversations, you filter that, and you build news stories from there. So, without the community, we have no content and we have no platform. So, super important in our business. We can never in our minds know what is local content in Angola or in Tanzania or in Nigeria, sitting in Cape Town. So, let's build a platform of technology, partner with other media owners that's been in that market for years and years and years. So the local radio station in Ghana or the community newspaper in Lusaka in Zambia, let's partner with them so that they can use the technology to their benefit. So that's been a huge lesson. Instead of us trying to go and do all of that on our own, just find like-minded partnerships across Africa.
And how important is community engagement to this process? We have a lot of social plays between Facebook, you're sharing news on Facebook, but this is a little bit, I feel, more intimate than that. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting you said community because, again, this is a term that I look at in a few different ways. Community, as we talk like hyper-local community, what's happening on the street here in Cape Town or somewhere, let's say in Abuja, wherever it may be. But also community is about brands as well. So I'm a brand and I want to extend my reach out to my community, your Facebook community. The great thing about this platform is that it can facilitate communication between communities of various different types. So on a personal level, again, I want to send news to my news, my online newspaper or my radio station. But if I'm also a brand, I can communicate with my followers, my prospects as well. It's having a platform. What excites me about platforms is the ubiquitousness about it. The fact that you can play it in many different ways, and this is one of those things you can do that.
Yeah.
with.
I think set out from day one, Johan wanted to grow a company within Africa. So for a long time, our focus was really in South Africa. So we had to expand, we had to find those key relationships in Kenya, in Nigeria, in Botswana, in Namibia, all those countries that we expanded out, and we had to find those partnerships. That's how we built this company. It was built on communities, looking for for engagement to connect better with their own community as well. So it was absolutely vital.
Do you find that this is the future of where kind of news and information flow is headed, through kind of community and localized news?
So I think it's a big question. So what is the future of content? And in my mind, and we've realized this in the duration of the company, is that content is anything that you can relate to. So if I'm interested in sports cars, I find that local content about a car, very appealing. But I can sit in Cape Town, and one of my other community members can sit in LA, and that doesn't matter. So content is much more than the 600-piece article written about what a government official did online. It's finding what people are interested in and finding a way for them to connect.
I mean, how many African countries are you guys playing in right now?
20.
So you're in 20 African countries.
Yeah.
That means connections with 20 different people, or even 3 sometimes in different areas.
Yeah.
Now, how has that been to manage? How does one manage that kind of communication and that kind of expansion, from a small little office in Cape Town?
That's a very good question. I think the key is to prioritize. I know it sounds a bit harsh, but we have to prioritize which countries are growing the quickest for us, giving us the most content, giving us the best opportunities. So prioritizing those relationships is something that we do very well, I think.
With Mimiboard, do you think there's a global play here, not just an African play, but also an emerging market play?
When I recently joined as a board member and as the interim chief commercial officer, my idea, and along with Johan, is to expand this into emerging markets. So as you said, this is not just an African thing. This is an opportunity for an African company to have an impact on the rest of the world as well. It's a platform, and that's the beautiful thing about platforms. They can be sent anywhere, they can be scaled anywhere. It just happens to be here, and it happens to be this is what we're going to focus on originally, but we will take this out to other parts of the world. In fact, we're working on that as we speak.
What does this say about the future of content if this is how we engage it?
Yes. Well, as you know, there's a lot of content out there. It's going to make the capacity to create even more content and create even more hyper-local content. We're creating a platform that's allowing people to have their say and allowing that say to be broadcast over many different areas, many different other platforms.
Content is also, by being able to know that there's a traffic problem as I drive out here, or there's a fire on the road, next to my house. That's content, and we must just find ways to enable the communication of that content. But yes, it's also still the curated news story on CNN, that millions of people watch. But it will become much faster, much real time, and now is the time to play in that space and try and figure that out.
So in a word, it's going to increase. I mean, the content that's out there that either exists in other formats, could even be internally, things that I want to say that I have not shared. Now you have a situation, or you have a increasingly so a platform where that content can be made open and public to many more people. We're all connected now, so it's this is along those lines.
That has been Umuntu Media on the importance of community and the creation of content. Join us next time for Memeburn on the Road. I'm Mich Atagana.